You straight up cuckooed that dude, bro. Oh my God.
You've got all your Charger gear on because
I look good. I got big energy every day. Let's go!
And he is dicked.
Blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
That's right.
You have to love what you're seeing on tape if you're a Chargers fan, especially for the future with Justin
Herbert on the move and throws and touchdown.
Players, coaches, staff, fans, together we can create something truly special.
Stay tuned for some good content.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Charger Chat. I'm your co-host, Wolldog, sitting with my buddies, Kev, Hug, and Duggan.
Happy morning to you guys.
And Kyle, the coach, Duggan.
COVID can suck it.
COVID can totally suck it.
Yeah.
For multiple reasons, but this week it has a lot to do with the Chargers and their situation. It feels like a game of musical chairs right now, as far as like, you know, one guy gets up, another guy comes down, and I don't
get it. How is it such a slow trickle effect? I don't understand. Just everyone. Why does not everyone have it and then it's just done?
Hey, we're not doctors here at the Charger Chat.
I believe in science.
I only believe in science.
I leave that up to the boys with the big brains. But
yeah.
Yes, folks, there's been a lot of COVID business going on and a lot of interesting things as far as like what the NFL and the Players Association have been talking about and coming up with. From Adam Schefter, this starts it off with NFL and the NFL Players Association now have adopted the new CDC guidelines that reduce the quarantine time to 5 days from 10 days for all COVID positive players who are asymptomatic, including those who are unvaccinated per sources.
So and this is huge.
Oh yeah.
It's huge for unvaccinated and for specifically this week, Mike Williams.
Yeah, Mike Williams could play, very well could play. And a lot of these guys,
If I'm not mistaken, wasn't it only like, I thought that if you were vaccinated, you just needed 2 negative tests within 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they didn't have a 10-day quarantine.
No,
well, if they were showing symptoms, I think that was the caveat. If they were
asymptomatic,
if
they had symptoms, they were 10-day quarantine as well.
Well, if they're still sick, they're sick.
Yeah,
so
you can't come back until you're not
sick anymore. So
and
if they
then
were showing
you need
symptoms,
the 2 tests.
Yeah,
got it.
Okay. So that is huge, you know, especially for Mike Williams coming back. And Tom Pelissaro tweeted out the NFL informed clubs that unvaccinated players who tested positive for COVID-19 in recent days, including Colts quarterback Carson Wentz, linebacker Darius Leonard, and Chargers wide receiver Mike Williams, are now eligible to play Sunday, provided symptoms have improved per sources. So that is the key, is that they have to be improved on their symptoms and have those negative tests. So
it'll be interesting to see, because Mike, they activated some players yesterday. We got to, we'll get into that list, but Mike wasn't activated. And I think he's past that 5 days. So the worry is that he might still have some lingering symptoms. And I think that's what happened with Linval, and that's why Linval was out for so long. So, they are super athletes, but they also can get sick and
they're still human.
This stuff off. So hopefully he feels better soon. I don't, we don't.
What's the latest? It's Friday's the last day to get activated. Yeah, from the COVID list.
Well, and my question is, like, back in the day, it was always like, hey, you don't practice, you don't play. Like, where does coach stand on just like activating?
Oh, no. They're just gonna get tossed in there. If he's ready to go, he's getting This ain't Paul Pointer. No, you got to win. You got to win football games to keep your job. So coaches in the NFL are not trying to.
That was like high school.
Instill work ethic into their players, like Paul Pointer.
You don't practice, you don't play. Oh shit! I guess I won't. Cut.
And that was the worst part about. Good, God damn it!
That was the worst part about playing football in high school. Is like you like, if you wanted to leave, you had to be back for practice. Like I would not go to school one day because I wasn't feeling great, but I would go to practice because I didn't want to miss the game on Friday.
You can't do that either because you had to go to two periods of school in order to go to practice as well.
Maybe that was a little. I think that was slightly different when I'm a bit of an older era of periods. May not be as important. The OG style. I think it was just one period, so I would sneak in there for like the last one, and then just drag my ass out onto the practice field.
You went to your digital media class, and that's
went in there, took a nap, and then went to practice.
So it's huge news here, folks, and even bigger news for the Chargers. These guys have been activated now from the COVID list. and this is a long list: Austin Eckler, Tavon Campbell, Joe Gaziano, Joey Bosa, Jalen Guyton, Kamon Hall, Corey Linsley, Trey Marshall, Justin Jones, Chris Rumpf, Chase Daniel, Senio Kelemeti, and Andre Roberts.
That was a lot of guys we were missing last week. When you actually look at this list, you're like, oh wow, okay, we lost to the Texans. Okay, I know my
13
my theory,
guys. Yeah,
that's a lot, and there's some Pro Bowlers in here. So it's nice to see. There's some names that I was like, oh shit, that's right. Like even like Trey Marshall wasn't there. Like some of the Joe Gaziano, like some of these backup guys that are good and serviceable weren't there. So
right, Chris Rump,
thank God.
He's a rookie, but he's been in that edge position. And so that, when we're talking about like, Kenneth Murray not having a great game last week and God, isn't there somebody else? It's like, yeah, but they're all sick, dude. Like they're all sitting on the sideline. So, so great to see all these guys coming back, ready to play. But however, added to the COVID list, recently is Kenneth Murray, Storm Norton, Matt Overton, the long snapper, kicker Dustin Hopkins, Trey Pipkins, and Devontae Harris, cornerback. And we just signed Devontae Harris, didn't we, to the squad? So it is unfortunately extremely contagious, and it's clearly showing to be an issue here for the Chargers. But getting 13 guys back from the COVID list is a step in the right direction, and hopefully prior to Sunday, one of those people is Mike Williams.
The Storm Norton thing was like, just in the beginning of the season, we're like, Storm Norton's a backup. But you see him on this list now, it's like, oh no, Storm Norton's on this list.
Yeah.
Because you look at our right tackle, like what, the most realistic thing is Schofield to right tackle, and then Kelemeti at right guard, which we all saw what that was.
Mm-hmm.
Or Brendan Hymas coming in. I don't know what the depth chart is now, but like, the question is, man, do they go wild card and Brian Bulaga come back right this week? Like activate him.
Have they even designated him to? They haven't even designated him to return yet. Because I think on Monday or Tuesday they designated Fackrell, and who else? Oh, Mark Webb. Both got designated to return, so they could come back any day within the next couple of weeks now as well.
Mm-hmm.
Bulaga, bye Bulaga. He's not coming back this year.
It's a bummer. Missed the whole season.
Yeah, that is really unfortunate. Dan Popper tweeted that Mark Webb and Kyler Fackrell are both coming back to practice today, designated to return, and their 21-day activation windows are now open. So we'll see if those guys come back. But yeah, the right tackle, that is a concern. Now, when your starter's been out all season, the backup's been doing a good job, but now he's got COVID, unfortunately. So I think given these new stipulations as far as 5 days, we're kind of in that window ish.
As long as there's no symptoms with the new rules, you should be okay.
That's the hard part. None of our guys have come back from when getting on the list, and then by Sunday, that none of them have been ready to go yet.
I mean, I was going to say we've had situations where, like, there was 1 week where Mike Williams and Chris Harris were put on the list just because they were the close contact and not necessarily
close contact, but not COVID positive.
But not COVID positive.
Because they don't designate exactly what this is. So fingers crossed.
So yeah, hopefully it's just a close contact situation. They haven't really, if they've said, we've not seen it necessarily here at the Charger Chat. So don't take everything that we say with a grain of salt. We're not we're not late breaking news as far as like what's going on with the Charger situation, but as far as we can tell, we're not really sure if this is a close contact situation or not. If he does have COVID, though, hopefully he is in that little window of time and can come back on Sunday, because that right tackle spot, man, that is
I do not know who's going to go out there.
I will say this about Brian Bulaga: he has done something great for us this year. Do you know what that is? Corey Linsley. I don't know what he said to that man, but he got him on this roster.
Yeah.
Nothing else. You brought a Pro Bowler center to help him bring him to the team. Yeah, so I'll give you that.
He's a very expensive agent. That's Brian Bulaga.
Very expensive hype man.
Yeah.
All right, gang, and now it is time to talk about our sponsor this week, Symbol. Symbol is the stock market for sports that allows you to profit off your sports knowledge. On Symbol, you can trade sports teams like stocks, and every time your teams win, you earn cash. Use your sports knowledge on Symbol to buy low, sell high, and earn cash payouts when your teams win. Join over 7,000 early adopters who have started to invest in their favorite teams. Visit www.symbol.com. That's SIMBULL.com to create a free account. And when you deposit, make sure to use the promo code ChargerChat, all one word, for a money-back guarantee. You can also visit symbol.app/ChargerChat and use the promo code ChargerChat, and your deposit will have a money-back guarantee up to $500. That means even if you lose money in the first 90 days, Symbol will refund your initial deposit, no questions asked. Join Symbol and start investing and profiting from your favorite teams. All right. Well, looking on over now to the injury report, there's quite a few names on here. There's a lot more than I expected, but a lot of them are getting full practices in. Tight end Steven Anderson with a shoulder injury, Devon Campbell with a hamstring injury, Linval Joseph with a shoulder injury, Uchenna Nwosu with a shoulder hip injury, and Jerry Tillery with an ankle injury. All those guys got in full practices. Derwin James still dealing with his hamstring, got a limited practice in. And sad to see Drew Tranquil with his ankle injury did not practice. So whatever took him out of that game. Yeah.
Tranquil's ankle. You got to be worried about those.
He really stretched it out. Tranquil's ankle.
You're welcome. It's early, but I still got him.
I still got it.
You gotta watch out for those, because he break it the last year, and like hopefully, I don't know what ankle this is, but we saw last game. We need Drew Tranquil out there. He's essential to that linebacking core.
Well, yeah, and with Kenneth Murray on the COVID list now, you don't even have that guy in the middle.
It's all right. We got Ongbong Bamiga. He doesn't start there anyways.
Bamiga. Let's go Bamiga. Well, maybe Neiman will get some more snaps this week and get ready to go. That's a
possibility too. Yeah. Ian Rappaport tweeted out, Broncos quarterback Drew Lock is expected to be the team's starter once again this week versus the Chargers. Source said, as incumbent Teddy Bridgewater continues to recover from a concussion, the team will continue to be smart with it. So, yeah, we all saw that injury that Teddy Bridgewater had, and it looked dangerously similar to Donald Parham's situation. So, yeah, Drew Lock will be the quarterback. I'm pretty sure they still have, who's that other backup? He used to be a Broncos, like BSU quarterback. I think Brett Rippin.
You would know more than us, my guy. I don't know anything.
Well, he was initially drafted over to the Broncos and never really got anything going. He's basically their Easton Stick. Yeah. So, but it's Drew Lock, which, I mean, what's you've made a comparison to what his play style is in the past. Drew Lock, what was your comparison, Kyle, as far as like he's not good for the deep passes, he's more the check down thrower? Is that the style of play he is?
Well, he's just kind of a wild card. He wants to be like a Brett Favre type and try to throw the ball deep, but he's not very good at it. So I think they put a leash on him a little bit and don't let him take those chances because they know that they win with their defense. So if Drew Lock's in the game, you really don't know. He could go full wild card and start hucking the ball downfield. But the Broncos are a defensive team that runs the ball well. So I think the quarterback that's back there, I don't think really makes much of a difference with the squad they have right now. Drew Lock's obviously not better than Teddy Bridgewater, or else he would have been playing all year.
There you go.
So that's a good thing for the Chargers. We also saw quite a bit of him when we played the Broncos last time because Teddy was hurt half the game.
They wanted to get him out of there as quick as possible and get Teddy back in. I remember that pretty vividly.
I mean, anytime you get to play a backup quarterback, I guess it's good, unless it's this guy that we played last week for the Texans that just went all pro on us.
Right.
He wasn't a backup. He was a third stringer. There's a difference. Okay. It wasn't direct backup.
It makes it so much better. Yay.
Got it. You're right. Yeah.
Hey, let's be specific. But I think like looking at this game now, like you look at like what do you want them to beat us with? And I think you want them to beat us with Drew Lock. We need to stop the run and make Drew Lock try and beat us because
that's hard though. That's always that was the case the last time. You want Teddy Bridgewater to beat you too. Because he's very conservative and he's not going to take the deep shots, and that's what the game plan was last time. We just weren't able to execute. So you know how to beat the Broncos. You got to stop that running game, force him to drop back and throw the ball a lot. It'll lead to turnovers, good field position, but it's easier said than done. It's easy to come up with a game plan. It's hard to execute it.
Right. Well, clearly.
It's tough too because, like, looking back at some of the games, like the Broncos defense, it's just sneaky one of the better ones. Like they give up some yardage, but scoring defense, they don't allow. They let the Chiefs had the most points scored since we played them last with 22, and then the Lions gave them 10. The Bengals gave them 15. Like, even though they might be losing these close games, like this is the kind of game that stresses me out. These are we're unable to score. And, if you look at this, just what they've done in the last 4 weeks since they played us last, if we score more than the Chiefs, 22, we should be pumped because they're not allowing much of anything.
Right.
To some of the Bengals, that's a good offense. They only allowed 15 points. So it's gonna be a tough game, man. It's gonna be tough.
For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. These are two very important games, and they're not gimme games. None of the games have been this season. Ones that we thought should be, we're not.
Nope.
But the other thing that might also kind of lean a bit in our favor, we'll find out as the game gets closer. But the Broncos also placed wide receiver Tim Patrick, tackle Calvin Anderson, and safety Caden Stearns on their COVID-19 list. And yeah.
They're dealing with the same stuff we are.
We know as soon as a couple names pop up, there's more to come shortly, and it's going to come fast and hard. So that was just yesterday that they got placed. So I'm sure there'll be more today.
Right.
And the later in the week, definitely more likely they will not be playing.
Right. Yeah. Looking at some of these numbers as far as what you were talking about there, Kev, as far as, points allowed, rushing yards versus the Chiefs, they had 154. Is that for them? Is that the Broncos had 154 rushing yards? Wow.
These are all what the Broncos accomplished by rushing.
Wow.
So
Lions 184. Yikes.
Look at that Raiders game. They only gave up 8. They only rushed for 18 yards last week.
Do you want to know why? This was the first game that Drew Lock started.
Wow. So they just put everyone in the box.
This is why I'm thinking you make Drew Lock beat us. Because what happened in that game, the Raiders, this team only rushed 18 yards on the Las Vegas Raiders. And Drew Lock was pedestrian. He had 15 for 22, 153 yards with 0-0 TDs and interceptions. So
wow.
It's a different game. Like, Teddy Bridgewater is not the most exciting quarterback by any means, but he is right down the middle. He's not going to blow it. You know what I mean?
And he's mobile. He's more mobile than Drew Lock.
He's a little more mobile. So, I don't know. If anything, looking back, like, this is an opportunity. Maybe this is, him having to start could be an opportunity for us.
We'll see if we're more aggressive right off the bat. If you see 2 high safeties, it's same old. We're saying don't beat us with a big play. If you see that safety start to come down in the box to help against the run, hopefully it's Derwin James. You'll know right away that we're saying we dare you to beat us, Drew.
Right. Yeah. Looking at some of these rushing numbers, Melvin Gordon -4 yards
on 7 carries.
Game.
7 carries -4. What is Gus Bradley's defense doing? This is not a Gus Bradley defense.
But look, their whole team only had 14 rushes between their running backs.
Right.
That's nothing for a whole game. 14 rushing plays.
They were 3 and out in the whole game.
Yeah.
And this was last week. So, and there might be some hidden things in there, like how many of their players were unavailable due to COVID, all that stuff. But I will say they still only allowed the Raiders to put up 17.
Yeah.
So look at these numbers. The score is 17-13.
Right.
It doesn't. You look at. We only rushed 18 yards and we only lost by 4. That doesn't usually equate. So I think this defense, you really need to be concerned about them.
Clearly,
man. This Raider game in week 18, holy heck. I'm not looking past the Broncos by any means, but that is going to be an outrageous, that's setting up to be, if we could get this W done, and the Raiders, because the Raiders are playing the Colts, but the Colts now don't have their starting quarterback.
Carson Wentz. Yeah.
Right.
If that could be 2 Ws, that they're talking about us getting flexed into a primetime Sunday night or Saturday night game. Which is only great because Jay Herbo just goes off in
primetime Herbie, absolutely.
But man, what a game that's going to be.
I heard rumors the Colts might use the Phil phone. They might be calling down to the Philly Rivers special for. Dude, if Phil Rivers came out and beat the Raiders just 1 week, like showed up on Friday, beat the Raiders on Sunday,
and then he retires the Charger the next day
after he beats the Raiders.
Maybe that's why he didn't retire a Charger yet.
Yeah,
he's like, I need one more W against the Raiders.
Yeah, one more time to
16.
put it to the Raiders. That would be awesome.
Not happening, but damn, would
probably
that be
not happening.
That's a movie that needs to be made.
That would be
really good.
Oh man, that would be awesome. All right. Well, folks, don't forget to go on over to chargerchat.com. Check out some of the merch that we have over there. We've got some awesome merch over there. A lot of it now from artwork from all of you guys that are listening, and it's on a shirt now. You can get it. We've got Kickman. We've got what's the newest one there, Kev?
Bowie.
We
didn't really mention it till now. It just went up, but I keep accidentally calling Joey Bosa Bowie, and I was like, wait, his eyes are just like David Bowie's eyes. Okay, we got to do this.
We got to make it happen.
We got a tough version of David Bowie's Aladdin Sane album, as a T-shirt, as Joey Bosa. So go get one. They're fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of awesome merch over there to check out, and there's also the members only section where you can chat with other Charger Chat members and even post questions for the Ask Bolt Fam when we do it on our Tuesday episode. So go on over to chargerchat.com, check it out. All right, gang. Well, now it is time to go to our every other weekly segment. It is an awesome segment. If we could do it every week, we probably would, but there's just so much juicy tidbits, and there's a limited amount of time as far as what can all be researched, but it is time for Bolt History. Let's see what Mike Modlin's got for us today.
Remember like it was yesterday. In comes this whirlwind, Don Coryell.
So see the San Diego Chargers and see spectacular professional football at its best.
Into the end zone, Charger fans are witnesses to history!
What's up, Bolt Gang? Welcome back to Bolt History with me, Mike Modlin. And today's installment, we are going to be covering a very special Bolt History, one specifically requested by our own Kev Huggin Duggan. And we are going to be talking about the 2004 NFL Draft, which most people probably remember that the Giants and the Chargers switched quarterbacks or swapped quarterbacks, Eli Manning for Phillip Rivers. But I wanted to cover all the other things around that particular trade and that scenario and that particular situation, because there was actually a lot to it that a lot of people don't know. Eli had spoken with players and coaches, GMs, and owners around the league prior to the 2004 NFL Draft. And he kind of got a sense that things weren't going so well in San Diego, which is one of the reasons why he didn't really want to get drafted there. When he took a trip to visit them, one of their big selling points was Antonio Gates, which we all know would have been a huge selling point, except at that time, Antonio Gates had not played football before. So they were selling this basketball player who had never played football before as a star for Eli to throw to. And that was one of the things that kind of gave him a bad vibe at the time. But there were other things that he didn't really like about the owners. A lot of people felt that they were cheap and things like that. So he threatened to sit out if the Chargers drafted him, and he was going to re-enter the 2005 draft if the Chargers did take him. A lot of people think that it was Archie Manning, his father, that had a big hand in him not coming to the Chargers. But Eli admitted many years later that it wasn't Archie at all. It was all Eli and his agent and their feelings towards the Chargers and other teams at the top of the draft. His father only spoke out because he knew Eli was going to take heat for it, because it was a very controversial decision. It was risky, and it might be looked down on by some of the people in the league. So he tried to take some of the heat away from Eli by speaking out at the time. Eli also told the Chargers at one point, please don't, on the down low, please don't draft me, and this can just be our little secret. But the Chargers didn't realize it was supposed to be a secret, and they drafted him anyway. And the main reason for that is that general manager A.J. Smith at the time had a pretty devious plan up his sleeve. So Tom Condon was Eli's agent. Tom Condon told A.J. Smith that Archie Manning wishes that they didn't select Eli, and they think that he would be a good fit for the New York Giants. We understand his position and clearly understand his interest in New York, but we will do what we think is best for the franchise, is what A.J. Smith said. We had a good visit with Archie and expressed our vision for the future, which included Antonio Gates, like I was mentioning, for the future of the team. And it was pretty strong possibility that the Chargers were going to select him first overall. The Chargers had a 4-12 record the year before, so they had the number 1 overall pick in the 2004 NFL Draft. And A.J. Smith didn't really like it that word was getting out that Eli didn't want to play for the Chargers. So he took it upon himself to find out why he was being told not to draft Manning. He thought it was his responsibility as general manager to find out what it was all about. Where is this all coming from? And so AJ did some research, and he was pretty much shocked with the information that he was gathering. He said his quote was, "A lot of ruthless things are done in our National Football League, down and dirty." Once he connected all the dots and realized that all the parties involved, one, it's the Giants, two, it's the agent, and three, Archie Manning. But according to the general manager of the Giants at the time, Ernie Accorsi, the Giants never really felt much urgency to draft Eli. They were in a good spot. They never felt tremendous pressure that they had to get him because there were three quarterbacks they had rated very high. Eli, of course, Ben Roethlisberger, and Rivers. So they felt like there was no way that they could lose. They liked all three. They had them all rated very high, so they didn't feel like they were going to lose out no matter which quarterback they drafted. Eli's agent was still worried about all the teams ahead of the Giants selecting him, which of course were the Chargers, the Raiders, and the Cardinals. Condon also thought that the Cardinals owners were cheap as well, and he didn't like the fit with the Raiders in Oakland either. And AJ Smith said they didn't want any part of San Diego because of him, because of AJ Smith. They thought that he was a scout, that it was a novice GM, and he doesn't really know what he's doing right now. He just got there. Head coach Marty Schottenheimer was there, and Tom Condon was also Marty's agent. AJ's sources told him that he knew Marty Schottenheimer wasn't long to be the Chargers head coach. Like, he wasn't going to last there very long. During the 2003 season, quarterback Drew Brees was benched for 5 games and finished the year with 11 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. Guess what? Drew Brees was also one of Tom Condon's clients as well. So he already didn't like what Marty was doing with Brees. He didn't like Brees being benched. He didn't think that Marty was going to be there very long. He also didn't think AJ Smith knew what he was doing as a general manager, because he had just become a general manager for the first time after being assistant general manager with John Smith. Ernie Accorsi said he didn't really call AJ Smith much, but the week of the draft, AJ said, "I'll call you Friday." And the draft was on Saturday, and AJ didn't call Ernie Accorsi. So he really felt that they were not going to make that trade. Of course, he said, according to Smith, that was all part of the plan. So AJ Smith said he played the game for their best interest, the Chargers' best interest. And the first part of it was saying that he'd call him back on Friday, which he had no intention of doing at all. He wasn't going to call him. He just wanted to make him stew. So on Friday morning, AJ Smith discussed his plan with Dean Spanos and Ed McGuire, our capologist. He told him that he was going to inform a particular person who he called a shadow, that he was going to be telling this person that he's going to be calling the Giants with 7.5 minutes left to go in their pick, in the 4th overall pick. So he was going to wait till half of their time was gone before he called them, just to give them an opportunity to come up with a deal. And if they can't, I'd just say, I have some bad news. If it doesn't work out to our liking, then we'll just be out of a 1st round pick. If they selected Eli and he went back through the draft process in 2005. So he told this shadow person, I'm telling you this in great confidence. I want you to know that there are 4 people who know this: Dean Spanos, Ed McGuire, myself, and now you. This particular person said, "Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for telling me our plans." And he had great faith that trust would be violated and the information would be relayed to the Giants. And he expressed that AJ Smith let Dean Spanos and Ed McGuire know that he expected this person to violate his trust. So AJ Smith wanted to relay all that information because it would give the Giants an opportunity to not have a few minutes to decide while they're gathered around a table, but to have all of that night and all of that day leading up to the draft, up until their selection came. So Ernie Accorsi has since said that he knew the Chargers would call. In 2014, he said a media member told him that the Chargers would be calling with 7.5 minutes left on the clock. But they still didn't know who the shadow was, because he tried to connect the dots. And of course, the person who told him this wasn't in San Diego at the time, didn't have anything to do with the Chargers. So he wondered how this media member found this out, wondered if the shadow person told the media member. So they were all trying to figure this out, and they were having trouble. Nobody really knows to this day who that shadow was, but that shadow definitely violated AJ Smith's trust, just as he expected him to. And they have a feeling that they know who the suspects were. They don't think it was Marty Schottenheimer, because Marty and Ernie Accorsi were very close friends, and they had agreed to not talk to each other until after the draft was over. But like I said, the shadow is still a mystery. But the deal was reached so quickly that AJ Smith felt confident that the Giants already knew the phone was going to ring. It came together so fast, it was almost comical, AJ Smith said. It was very much to my liking. And for fun, I also this is another thing I forgot to mention. The Giants were pretty much comfortable giving up whatever the Chargers wanted as long as it wasn't a pass rusher. So Ernie Accorsi basically told AJ Smith that I will trade, just about anything except don't ask for Osi Omenyiora or any of our other pass rushers. So when that deal came about so quickly on draft day, AJ Smith, just to mess with Ernie Accorsi, threw in Osi Omenyora's name in the draft trade talk just to mess with him. And he said, of course, that would have been a deal breaker. So he just had to laugh. And he said, I'm just kidding, Ernie. Now, how much time do we have? Minutes? And then boom, the trade was done. We knew what we were going to give, is what Accorsi said. They had their own meetings. They were willing to give them they were willing to give us their number one and other draft choices that we gave. We just weren't going to give a pass rusher. So it didn't make any difference. I needed about 3 seconds to make that decision, is what Accorsi said. So when the Chargers asked for next year's number one, they said yes right away because they had already decided that was the going rate. The final agreement was the swap between the quarterbacks, Eli Manning for Phillip Rivers. The Chargers also received the 2005 first-round draft pick, which became Sean Merriman, the 2004 third-round draft pick, which became Nate Kading, and the 2004 fifth-round draft pick, which the Chargers ended up trading to Tampa Bay to get Roman Oben, who was our tackle for quite a while, if you remember Roman Oben. And just last but not least, some of the other recognizable names from that draft in 2004, Larry Fitzgerald, Sean Taylor, Kellen Winslow Jr., and D'Angelo Hall. Hope you enjoyed this Bolt history. Don't forget to stay bolted. Follow the Charger Chat on all the social media platforms and on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe to the Charger Chat podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at Supercharger. Okay, love you, bye.
Well, that's who knew there was so much mystery.
Be a shadow person.
Oh my God, we've got the shadow person here. Shadow person.
Yes. Be careful what you say on here. Be careful what you say on here, Adam. You'll never know the shadow person will give up.
Boy, I sure would hate it if I don't have any. Oh, it's you.
Oh,
woo! I don't have to worry about it anymore. All right. Well, wow, Mike, thank you for
that was awesome, dude.
What a great story! And holy cow, like. Imagine if they could have been like, yeah, we're going to get this future Pro Bowler, future Hall of Famer, Antonio Gates, who's going to set the record for most touchdowns by a tight end, and them going, nah.
Yeah, not really
enough.
A sell.
Doesn't do anything for me.
He's a basketball player? What? No,
basketball player? What?
Basketball. He played basketball?
Yeah, that's crazy that to look back and be like, no, we're going to have this really good player and have him go, nah. And then have that player just blow it up.
It's funny to me, like hearing the story, because it kind of aligns with other stories I've heard about AJ Smith. He's just kind of a sneaky dick. It's just kind of like the general vibe of AJ Smith and the way players talked about him and the way, kind of like contract negotiations would go. I remember there for a hot minute, like there was a battle between him and Phil Rivers, and Antonio Gates. There were all these battles. So it makes sense that this is how he came out of the gates, playing some crazy games with shadow people. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised is basically what I'm saying.
He's very sneaky, sir.
Very sneaky.
Yeah, boy, what a wild story, and what a gamble to be like, yeah, we might lose this pick because he wants to go back to the draft, next year if we can't get this trade done. It's like, damn.
That's wild that he would just be okay with just not having a first round draft pick and missing out on two of those the other quarterbacks. It's just I don't know if that I don't know. That's bold, Cotton.
It is a bold strategy. And honestly, like, when was the last time? I mean, this might be recent and I just can't remember, but when was the last time a player was like, I don't want to be drafted by this team, and if they draft me, I'm willing to sit out until the draft next year?
I don't think there's been another Manning come through the process yet, but maybe I think there's Arch Manning. Maybe it's just
all
a
family
Manning,
related.
douchey Manning.
Yeah, there's a nephew coming up soon.
Yeah, there'll be a Manning to some shit up for sure.
Wow. Yeah. What a. I mean, talk about a bold strategy to be like, yeah, I would rather not play football and not get paid for a whole year and just come back next year to be drafted by somebody else.
Didn't John Elway do the same thing?
Yeah. There's a really cool ESPN documentary on that. ESPN 30 for 30 on Elway and that whole draft. and how they were playing some sketchy games because he didn't want. I can't remember. I think it was the Chargers again. He didn't want to play for the Chargers.
Good Lord.
There seems to be a theme here.
Well, that was prior to the Eli Manning days, but yes, I think it's interesting that there were times that players were just like, yeah, no, I would rather not play for this team, just based off of either what they've heard or what their agents have said, like not having any experience with the team whatsoever and just being like, yeah, I'd rather not.
I wonder if there's something in there in the CBA that like penalizes now, like the new CBA.
Maybe.
Because they've taken, you remember back in the day, there were a lot of guys that were making these monster contracts their rookie year.
Yeah.
And they were, like a Sam Bradford. He got paid so much money. It was just
a lot of money.
Like there's a lot of that. Or what was the dude from the Raiders? Totally blew it. I can't remember his name. Quarterback. He's a Raider. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know who you're talking about. Crap. The guy, he gained like a bunch of weight.
Yeah. Hit the buffets.
Yeah. Utterly forgettable.
Yeah. I know there's
Jamarcus Russell.
I knew there was people listening to this like shouting, Jamarcus Russell. So apologies to you guys. But yeah, so I think there's something in the new CBA. I haven't fine-tooth combed that shit, but maybe there's something in there where it's a little harder to duck and dive teams.
Yeah. Or they're just not, people just are like, yeah, I'll go play and get paid millions of dollars to play for whatever football team chooses me.
Right, exactly.
Well, humble. So question to you guys, if you were in the NFL draft and you were the first pick, what one team would you definitely not play for?
Raiders.
I'm glad we're on the same page.
Absolutely.
Did we just become best friends?
Yes.
Dude, you karate in the garage?
Yes.
All right.
Can we make bunk beds, Dad? Mom? Yes.
So much room for activity.
Dale, no power tools. It's my toothbrush.
Yeah.
All right. Well, gang, that is basically it for us here at the Charger Chat. Any final thoughts, gentlemen?
I don't want to get swept by the Broncos, so we're going to get a dub this was Sunday. It just has to happen. Yeah. I don't care who is on the COVID list, who can't play, who can play. I don't care if Joey Bosa has to go in at right tackle. We're going to win this football game.
I love it.
That would be amazing.
I love it. I love it.
All right, gang. Well, that'll do it for us here at the Charger Chat. Don't forget to bolt up because we're ready for any squad, any place.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye. And now, a word from our sponsors. He can't keep a secret, and you know he can't.
Shadowman.
When you need top secret info to leak, don't just trust anyone. Call
a Shadowman.
Having hot info drop all at once is old. Who cares? Go for the slow boil. Go for the bold strategy. Go for
a Shadowman.